I'm going to go ahead and give 2 more minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. First, can everybody hear me okay? Everybody can see me okay? Perfect, perfect. Yes, everybody sign the sheet up front, please. First, I got to start with an apology. I'm supposed to be doing this with Linda, and Linda can't be here. I won't say why, but she can't be here. And we have been working on this for months, a couple of months, her and I, and we were intending to do it in a way that she would be able to show her Go kits, which she has 2 beautiful Go kits, one for personals and one for food type items and stuff. But unfortunately, she's not. So I brought my Go kit. It's in the back, and I'll talk through that at the end of some of the things I put in there for me. Yes? I would rather not, because things are really spreading fast around here, and I want to stop it. So I'll go over my Go kit. Mine's a little different, and I'm always changing it, adding to it, changing things out of it, just because I make it better every time I think about it. First, I'm going to talk about 3 earthquakes before I get started, okay? Nisqually quake. Who was here for Nisqually quake? Okay, a lot of us were here. 6.8 magnitude. What was happening in that earthquake? Things like bricks falling off buildings, the facades of buildings falling, crushing cars, things like that. There was 1 death associated with the earthquake, and that was the individual had a medical emergency. They weren't killed by the earthquake, they were killed as a result of the earthquake. 400 injured, and 1 to 4 billion in damages. So, and it wasn't really, in my life, it wasn't a big quake. The next big quake that I remember would be the 1989 Loma Prieta or San Francisco quake. And a lot of us remember that one from the standpoint of there was a World Series going on at the time. We had freeways failing, pancaking, you had buildings collapsing, you had gas mains breaking, fires. It was a really hot mess. 63 deaths. 3,757 injured, over 6 billion in damages. The difference between the 2 quakes is only 0.1. Only 0.1. But that's 10 times stronger than the previous one of the way they grade those. So just being 0.1 makes it 10 times stronger and worse. Then we're going to go into the earliest earthquake I remember, and that's the 1964 earthquake. Anybody living here in 1964? That was me. I was living here. That was 9.2. And that was a really bad one in that 131 deaths, and it created a tsunami that was felt as far away as Oregon, where it killed 5 people, as far away as Crescent City, California, where it killed 12 people. So that was a good example of an earthquake and the other things that could happen as a result of the earthquake. So you have an earthquake, you could end up with a tsunami, you could end up with fires, you could end up with collapsed buildings, you could end up with a disruption to your water, your food supply. An earthquake is the number one thing you always want to prepare for, okay? So this piece would have been Linda's piece. And I'll talk through it very quickly. And I'll have more handouts if you need them. And I'm going to also ask for my presentation, Linda's, and any of this stuff be pushed out to our residents, because there's a lot of good information in here. First, you got to have a kit. And when you have a kit, you're building it for you, so it's going to be based on what you need in the kit. You know, there's going to be specific medications. There's going to be potentially dog food or cat food. There's going to be things you need to put in there that's unique to you as you build it. But there are some common things that everybody should have in their kit, okay? Water supply is important because we may not have water. Have some food, medical, your eyeglasses, have a second pair like I do, because I can't see when I read if I don't. Things like that, sturdy shoes. And when I go look at that back there, you'll see a lot of these things on here, but not everything. The second piece is, for me, it's you want to be safe wherever you're at. So first, I want to be safe at work, because that's where I'm at the most of my day. I also want to be safe as I get to work and go home from work. Because I'm a long commuter, I'm going clear down to Stillicum, and I want to make, there's a lot of things that could happen in between here and Stillicum or Stillicum and here, so I need to be prepared in my car to be stuck somewhere. And then finally, having my house prepared. So that could be my daughter, that could be my wife, that could be ensuring that our pets are okay, things like that. We want to be as self-sufficient as we can wherever we're at in that moment, okay? So you want to try and prepare for the 3 key ones of, I'm either going to be at work, I'm going to be at home, or I'm going to be on the road, okay? Any questions on that? Not yet, good. Shoot for it, go for it. That's a lot of water. That's a lot of water. What we do have at our advantage, and that's at both the coves and here in this building, is you have huge hot water tanks in the buildings. And that's the water that's supplied to your areas and stuff like that. So the first thing that would normally happen, if we can get to it, is somebody on my team or somebody on the disaster team would secure the water, okay? We would secure the water. We want to make sure first it's safe, and we also want to make sure it's available to everybody, okay? So we're going to secure the water. We're going to make sure that the kitchen is secured, especially in this building, because it's got gas and some other things, but it is on the backup generator. So we're going to have food sources here. And in your individual apartments, you're going to have your own food sources available to you, okay? Things that to have ready on hand are your ready-to-eat things. You know, they may taste funky, but can of chili, it's already cooked. It may taste horrible, but that's an option. I'll show you what I have in my kit, and it's like these, I'm going to call them hockey puck power bars. They taste horrible, but they're full of nutrients. And I also have in my bag 6 pouches of water. So you can have your own supply. It may not be in the gallons in your individual apartments and stuff. Okay? I'll keep going. I want to make sure I give this justice because Linda put a lot of work into this. So the question I'm going to ask is, the building starts shaking right now. What should we do in this room? What is the first thing we should do? Get on the floor. So you're going to drop to the floor, and you're going to either get under something, which I guarantee you're not going to get under these chairs. So you're going to get as low as you can to the floor, hopefully below the chairs, and cover your head, okay? Get below the highest thing in your immediate area because it will take the brunt of what's falling. And most injuries from an earthquake come from the things that are falling. Their windows may shatter, ceiling tile may fall. The light fixtures aren't going to fall because they're secured to the building. But anything that's portable could fall. And you got to be ready for that, no matter where you're at in the building. And we have multiple buildings, so you got to be aware of it in potentially three locations. What's the second thing we should do? Correct. So what an example, if somebody's in a chair, a wheelchair, you stay in the chair. You don't get out of the chair, but you crouch. You can still crouch, and you can still cover your head. You know, you protect yourself the best you can in the situation. Okay? And I guarantee I could not talk to every situation because every single situation is going to be different for everybody in this room, dependent on where you're at that moment. Okay? So that's the thing I want you to really take away from here is consider where you're at all times, and are you ready? Okay, I'm going to start with the presentation piece, and this is really 7 steps to earthquake safety. Got to get rid of some things. I'm going to keep my phone up here. I want to hear the alert when it does go off. Okay. So I have my trusty helper back there, Steve. I'm going to also ask for this presentation to be pushed out because almost every slide has also a hyperlink in there where it gets into even more detailed information, which is going to be really good for everybody to see. So first, you got to prepare. And we talked a little bit about that. Before the next big earthquake, we recommend these 4 steps that will make you, your family, your workplace better prepared to survive and recover quickly, okay? So we not only want to prepare, be safe, but we want to recover. 3 things, 3 critical things. Step 1, secure things. Identify hazards. Try and correct the hazards. Things like that. Can you hit the hyperlink? Because this will be the best example to show. There we go. So every one of those links is going to go deeper into a document that then you can go as deep as you want to, because everything on that right side is another link. It's going to tell you really cheap fixes for securing your items in your individual apartments, homes, more moderate costs, and then really high costs to do some things. So, this is a really good wealth of information from the Great American Shakeout. I'm going to go to number 2. Yes.
So, within our individual units, what would you say are the most important things that we should do?
Oh, wow. First, I want to make sure that I have a food source.
No, I'm thinking about the securing here and the.
Again, that's individual. If you have like a bookcase, a tall bookcase, go ahead. Yes.
Nothing should hang above the head of your bed. No pictures, no heavy items above the head of the bed. Right.
That's
Nothing should hang above the head of the bed.
perfect. Thank you. So you have to assess everything in it first. Do you have bookcases, tall ones, with items on it that during the shake, if it's not secured, it may either fall over all the way, or it may just break some things. Being away from windows,
So
stuff like that.
is securing bookcases something that maintenance can help us with, or do we need to arrange for that ourselves?
That's absolutely yes. Okay. If we can't do it, we know people that can. So make sure you're safe in your area, wherever you're at. So your home, in our case, and I call this my home away from home. So I try to be safe here. And then step 2 is plan to be safe by creating your emergency plan and deciding how you will communicate. So you have a unique advantage here in that on your individual buildings and floors, you have different chairs and people that help communicate. And I would be making that communication even stronger if you can. Know your neighbors, know who you can go to in an emergency. Be aware of who's in the building or who's not in your building. Things like that, so you know who to, after the quake, make sure they're safe and stuff like that. So plan to be safe. Go ahead and hit that hyperlink. And again, it will talk you through in more detail some things you could do to ensure and help you plan, communicate. For us, we have multiple ways of communicating. We have our Hearthstone phones where we get emergency alerts and things like that. We also have our walkie-talkies. Any alert that comes through here also comes through here. So that's a great advantage.
Who are using this, is this something that's available on Touchdown, or where are we going to?
I'm going to be asking Reggie and Holly to push this out to everybody, okay?
This PowerPoint presentation is going to be
I
distributed
expected it to go off, and I didn't.
to you guys
Well, our guys
via email.
No, I was not going down that path this time. I was not ready for that. In a perfect world, Reggie was asking a really good question. With a little more planning, we could have done a full-blown disaster. We could have worked with outside agencies. We could have simulated a great shake. I'm not prepared for that this year. I don't know this building well enough. Next year, we may do that. But it's going to take a combined effort with other resources outside of the Hearthstone. And a lot of players here in this room also. So, you know, we could get on the PA and simulate a shake if you want to next year. Okay. Maybe we'll all have a plan in place by then. Step 3, organize your emergency supplies in convenient locations. Okay? My kit and everything on that back table, everything fits in that one bag. Okay? Everything fits in that one bag, and I keep it under my desk because that's probably the best place to keep it here for me. Know that also, because this is one of the central meeting points in a disaster for the staff, we also have an emergency information back here in this music room in bins so that we'll know how to take action during and after the earthquake. Again, you want to hit the organized emergency supplies. Can you scroll down a little bit? Okay, stop there. So in your individual homes, under your bed, that's a good thing. Have your go bags. If you have your vehicle, have a smaller kit in your car with maybe some power bars, a warm blanket, flashlight, things like that. Things that you normally would have in the car anyways. What home or work for staff. So I want to be prepared for 3 things: my home, my travel, and my work. Minimize financial hardship. That's a tough one. Have your documents in order and have the most important documents you have in a safe place. The example I'll use in my home is I have a small fireproof safe that I keep my most important documents in an emergency. Things that might be needed afterwards, kind of thing. So have your stuff organized, have them in a safe place. Did I go too far? Okay. There we go. Now we'll try again. Okay. The next big thing you got to do is, first you want to survive, but you also want to recover. Okay. During the next big earthquake and immediately after is when your level of preparedness will determine how well you recover also. Okay. So again, we have the shake. Did anybody get an alert on their phone? I got nothing. So this is a good 3:19 in the morning. Wow. That's. So I have no active alerts on mine. So that's something we want to make sure that we are getting the alerts, because I fully expected an alert to come over my work phone. So again, we're going to drop, cover, hold. Other recommended actions are lock your wheels. If you're in a wheelchair, you're going to lock them wheels up. You're going to crouch as far as you can over, and you're going to put your hands over your head, protecting your head. And hold on. If you're underneath the table, you also want to try and hold on, because that table or whatever you're under may be shifting and want to move also. So hold on to it. Keep it above you as long as you can. Oop. Okay, again, really in-depth, really good information. I found that, because this site is so robust, that you could spend hours going through some of the hyperlinks. That's why I condensed it to just the 7-step critical slides for me, because I want to get the most critical information out to everybody. Okay, improve your safety, improve safety. After earthquakes, by evacuating if necessary, helping the injured, and preventing further injuries or damage. That's the key things after an earthquake. Okay, so know that every staff member that is here, before we start running around or running outside, we need to make sure that the building and the areas we are in are safe. And again, that's going to be totally dependent of where you're at and what happened in that immediate area. So this is going to have to be very fluid from my perspective, from my maintenance team's perspective, from all of the staff that happened to be here that day. So who knows what Murphy's Law is? What's probably going to happen is this earthquake's going to happen probably about 2, 3 in the morning, when the least amount of staff is, we're all in bed, and it's pitch black and nasty weather outside. Okay? So consider that. Know that we have a really good emergency call tree internally and branched out through all of the departments. So somebody will be here. Somebody's going to be here. Some of us may take a little longer to get here, moi, if I'm home in bed. So worst thing I saw during the Nisqually quake, and this is why I remember it, is during the quake, at that time I was working at the technical college down in Tacoma, and I was out in the parking lot changing parking lot lights. So I was on probably about a 40-foot lift, and I could feel the lift start moving, and I thought I'd run over something or something had happened. And then from that height, I could immediately see staff members and students, all of them, running out the door, jumping on their phones, things like that. Everybody I saw did exactly what you shouldn't do. They panicked and reacted. Running out that door, if things were falling off the building, they'd have been struck and hurt and things like that. So that allowed us, after we debriefed the disaster, of ways we could improve at the college with our own staff, first and foremost, and prepare our staff to react a little differently. I'm going to go to the next one. Again, this is still on the survive and recover. Last piece is going to be reconnect and restore. So now we're reconnecting with our family, okay? That's what's going to be paramount in my mind if I'm here. I'm going to be trying to reconnect with my wife, who, if it's during the day, she's going to be at her own place. She's going to be at her own workplace. I want to connect with my daughter because my daughter's going to be home, hopefully. So I want to reconnect with my family. I want to reconnect with my associates, the people I work with. I also want to reconnect with as many staff members as I can and residents as I can. And all of us will be doing kind of the same thing. We're going to be checking in on people, okay? You're going to be calling grandbabies and all kinds of people. So have an emergency list. Keep it right in your phone if you can, okay? Contact list of the most important people that you want to call immediately, okay? And again, it goes into really good depth. So after the earthquake, depending on the severity of it, is going to also depend on how well we recover too. We may need to try and be self-sustaining right here for 1 day, it may be 3 days, it may be a week, it may be 2 weeks. Okay, so know that. Here's what I do know about Joe and his operations up in the kitchen. I know for a fact that he has a minimum of 2 weeks of food supply, a minimum 2 weeks food supply for residents, okay? Because he goes on a 2-week ordering cycle, okay? So he's always gonna have 2 weeks worth, and sometimes more, dependent. So some of the things we would do in the emergency is, one, the emergency generator is going to kick on. It's going to keep the refrigerators running. It's going to keep the freezers running. And it's going to keep the most critical equipment in the kitchen running. So Joe is going to be able to continue operations up there. But also, it's going to be the center for providing food to not only our residents, but now our staff that are stuck here, okay? Because during this process, we may be living here with you for a day or 2 days or 3 days or a week. So we also have to be prepared for that. The piece I'm not prepared for yet, and I need to do it quickly, is I don't have a change of clothes here yet. So I don't want to be wearing these clothes for 5 days. That would be really icky. So I'm going to bring a couple changes of clothes because it's probably going to snow and I'm probably going to get stuck here some night. And I want to have a fresh set of clothes in the morning and maybe brush my teeth. That would be great. Okay, have some deodorant. That'd be great. Okay, take a good shower downstairs. Go ahead.
Plan for the elevators and the stairways?
The question is there any way to prepare for the elevators and for the stairways? So in the emergency, the elevators are going to do exactly what they should be doing in emergency. They're going to go immediately to the second floor, at least the one service elevator, the big one. It's going to go to the second floor because that's where any emergency personnel are going to come in. They're going to come in from the back door of Woodlawn, go to that elevator, and they'll take that elevator over. because they may need, we got a big building. They may need to go all the way up to 10th floor and start working their way down, things like that. It's hard to measure what you might need. Say you're on the 10th floor. Maybe the 10th floor is the safest place to be. It may be the safest place. You may want to stay on that 10th floor instead of taking a risk and going downstairs and stuff like that. What I do know about the construction of this building especially is it's built really well. In those columns right there, there's these huge concrete, I guess we call them whatever, holding this building up. So this whole building, the walls, everything is concrete. So this building by itself is probably going to do some of this, but it ain't going to fall. I guarantee it, it's not going to fall. I feel good about that. Go ahead.
What would be the situation in the bistro? Thinking of food, produce, and
What probably, I'm guessing on this, so I don't have concrete, but first and primarily, what food is normally there is brought over, okay? So whatever is there in the moment is probably all that's going to safely be able to be there in that moment. Depending on what's happening in each of the buildings, there still may be the ability to get stuff from point A to point B, or vice versa. You know, it could be both directions and stuff like that. So I asked this question at one of the communities I worked at. So what do you think is going to happen around us in the emergency outside of our building? One thing that may happen. There's going to be things happening, and there's going to be, depending on how well the buildings are built, there may be some fires and stuff like that. But more importantly, people are going to see our lights are on. Okay? People may want to come here. We may become the focal point of people trying to get in. And my primary concern is going to be for the safety of our residents, you know, the security of this building, and ensuring you have what you need to survive. I can't help everybody out there. I can't do that. So hopefully they're taking care of their own needs, so that we can take care of our needs here, kind of thing. Any more questions? Keep going.
Let me bring over a mic. Hi there.
Can you hear me now? I lived at the Cove before I moved here, and we talked about where we would meet if something like this happened. And we decided on the front of the building to the east side. That's something that we should think about here, where we can collect and find out who's missing.
Okay. So for this building, the general thing we communicate outside of this building is Nell's parking lot. Okay. That's where we're directed to meet if it's safe to meet there. Okay. If it's safe to meet there, got to think about it that way. It may not be safe to meet there. It may be safer to get across the street. Okay. So our primary focus as staff is we're going to go to Nell's if we need to evacuate, and if we need to be getting staff, residents, and others out of this building. Typically for evacuation, it's, I'll call it wing by wing, floor by floor, pretty much, right, Emmy? Especially in healthcare, you're going to move people either vertically or horizontally, one direction or the other, kind of thing. Because the last thing you want to do is trying to get everybody out of this building. You want to make sure they're safe. So it may be people who live in the north wing may need to go over to the west side. Okay, people on the 10th floor may need to go down to the 9th floor. People on the 8th floor may need to go up to the 9th floor. It's going to be very fluid. We could have severe damage on the 3rd floor and nothing from the 4th up. Yeah, so we got to be fluid with it. Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Steve.
A couple of questions I have. First of all, is there a web page that you can refer this? Obviously, there's a huge amount of information, and it looks like it's an online option. Could you direct us to that, please?
I will. I'm going to be sending this all out to everybody.
Okay.
I'm going to make sure everybody has access to this whole deck plus what Linda put together. Okay, so there's a lot of information there. The biggest thing I'm disappointed in is Linda has really neat go bags, and at some point we're going to get her back over here and we'll do a follow-up to that, because that's what impressed me the most. Is she had the most complete go bags I've ever seen an individual have, and I would model that. I personally would model that.
The second question has to do with communication. I know it's difficult to make a blanket statement, but I just want to make my observation is that it's so critical to do that. And so there needs to be some sort of plan of communication so that people know what to do, what not to do. And so I hope you include that in your planning.
Absolutely.
And the third thing is sort of a minor thing. A lot of people think you should get under the doorway when the earthquake happens. I know that's not the case, but could you say why that's not the case?
Well, San Francisco, because that's what I was taught in school. You get in a doorway. Well, during the San Francisco earthquake, the buildings were shifting so badly that became the worst place to be in a lot of cases. Just the way that earthquake hit. Other things that came out of the San Francisco one, that's when I talked about earthquakes in previous places, I really focused on the San Francisco one because a lot of great things came out of it because of the type of disaster it was. That's where everybody started really thinking about being prepared and being wherever you're at, being as prepared as you can, because the fire chief at the time, and I don't, without it being in front of me, I don't know his name. The fire chief at the time, after they were debriefing, one of the biggest things that happened in his whole department were his team members. The first response was they wanted to go home. To go home. Okay? It wasn't saving people. It was their first and immediate response was, I need to make sure my wife is safe, my husband is safe, I need to make sure my kids are safe, my dogs are safe, all of that. Their primary focus in a lot of cases where they wanted to go home. So he knew that he needed to teach to being prepared wherever you're at, kind of thing. And that's kind of the birth of that movement. It was really focused after that a lot about no matter where you're at, be prepared. You know, have a kit in your car, kit at work, kit wherever you might be. Next.
I've been told that's the best thing to do is to stay away from anything that's glass. Stay away from windows, cabinets that are glass.
You're right, because these may shatter. All this may be blowing debris in. So again, we're gonna cover our head first. We're gonna get low as we can in this room. I'm only gonna speak to this room because it's very dependent. Don't do like I've seen myself do a couple of times. Go running to look out the window, see what's happening. Okay, our curiosity gets the best of us. Don't go looking out the window to see what's happening, because that may be the moment that we get an aftershock, and that's just enough of an aftershock to shatter things and make other things fall that were loosened. So not only were we worried about the earthquake, we're worried about potential aftershocks, which can be as bad as the initial.
How about our balconies? You know, that's kind of the first thing I think of to get out of here. The balconies.
I would not go out the balconies simply because things may be falling off the side of the building. If there's any brick facade on the building, that's going to more than likely fall away. Okay. That's what we saw a lot in the Nisqually quake. Of most of the damage that was caused was from things like that, from the older brick buildings. But it also created more good things in that after the '89 earthquake, there was a huge push, because I worked for the school district at the time in Tacoma, a huge push to make sure all of our buildings were safe and retrofitted. So there were huge capital projects throughout the whole district, about 34 schools that were pretty old in some cases, 100 or more years old. And the potential for them failing without being retrofitted was really high. So there was a big push to ensure buildings were safe at that time. I don't see any more hands. Okay, we're good. I'll talk about my kit. Again, remember, it's always improving, changing. And the best part is, for me, it all fits in this bag, okay? First and foremost. I want to get to the goodies here. This is where my food is. You want me to bring this up front? Part of this, okay? Are you sure? Okay. You want to go backwards? Thank you. I would trip. Do you have a hard hat? Okay. Okay. So I'll walk through a couple of things. You want to go higher? Okay. My trusty assistant. I did say at the beginning of this that Nate would be my Vanna White. Okay. Better? Okay. So that's my water. I got 6 individual pouches of water. I bought this on Amazon. Amazon, just guaranteed. Google emergency kits. Oh my gosh, they got beautiful pails of kits that are good for up to a week or more. You can go as deep. I really thought about getting the pail because it was really helpful. Pardon me? That's 6-pack. I guarantee I know where I'm going to get water. I'm going to gross you guys out when I say this. You could drink the water out of the tank of your toilet. Okay? That's emergency water supply. That's gallons of water right in your apartment. Oh, this is my water. That's a pouch. That's 1 serving of water, 8 ounces. 6. Yes. 5-year shelf life for this. 5 years. Okay? I'm going to be retired. I'm going to be sitting on the beach somewhere and not worrying about that. This is my food supply for up to 5 days. Okay? And exactly, this is nasty, but it's nutrition. Okay? And what I like about this is it's very compact, extremely compact. So this is going to last me for a couple of days, but I also know by then we're going to have other things in motion here. You know, we're going to be serving out of the kitchen and things like that for staff and residents at that point. It's got a bunch of little things in here like ponchos, some Band-Aids, Kleenex, whistle, whistle, whistle. Very important. Gotta have a whistle. It's gonna tell people where you're at. Another emergency blanket, gloves, face mask. That's 1 kit. And then this one I really liked because it had a lot of different stuff in this kit. It's got a bigger, nicer emergency tent, shelter, whatever you want to call it. Glow sticks, paracord for everything. This is like the coolest tool I've ever seen, okay? It's got a mini hatchet, mini hammer, knives, all kinds of different things, pliers, a lot of different things on it that I love. This is more the after and things like that. Another small safety kit. I probably have 3 different types of safety kits here. Here's my other first aid kit. I have gloves, hard hat, that, vest, crowbar. And again, I'm always improving it. Yes.
To put together, what's a budget for what you have up there?
I would say, because I went cheap, I'd say $100.
When that earthquake
Oh, jeez. I get- Mhm.
By the time I'm done, I've got over $1,000 in my cart, and I'm still not sure that I've got what I need.
Mhm.
So I was just thinking, can you provide us a list of where you got those items for
I can do
$100?
that because why I like this is it goes in one nice go bag by itself.
Sure,
And then these have the little bags.
but
it
they
makes-
all fit in that big
They
red bag.
all fit in this thing.
Are you going to show us how that works?
Who's played Tetris before? Okay. Okay. Oh, I didn't point these out. These are my personal. These are a good sturdy boot, steel toe. The most uncomfortable things in the world, but good for my feet. Okay. The boots have to go in first. This is like a test. The English teacher has given me a test. Nope, I want that one there.
I can already imagine what our conversation after this is going to look like.
Oop, I don't have everything in there. This one's a little trickier. Oh, the thing for your cell phone. Okay, a pouch and a lanyard. Keep your cell phone safe. And hopefully you have a cell phone signal. Okay, here's the tricky part. And then you stuff it in.
About
I'm
how
not-
much does that bag weigh when it's all packed up, Tim?
I'd say 30 pounds. It's not real heavy. It'd be uncomfortable for a distance, for sure. Oh, hard hat next. Gloves. Use this. Okay, very important. Those are the 2 bulkiest things. Oh, I guarantee I'll. The vest. I need a different one because this was gifted to me and it's like a 3XL. So it's like a, there you go, double as a tent. I like that. This goes there. Oop, get that out. I'm gonna put that on top. Do you know why I can do this? I'm the guy at Costco that as my daughter and wife are throwing things in the cart, I'm rearranging it because I'm real anal. And then I'm the one who loads the stuff in the car because I could take a lot of stuff and put it in a small spot. So there you go. Yeah, probably 30 pounds. But again, I'm not going to carry this all over the place. It's in my office. I'm going to probably be putting the shoes on first, the hard hat on, things like that. These go pouches can be put on your belt if you want to, things like that. Now I'm breathing hard.
Just a reminder that our gift shop has great whistles, very inexpensive.
Absolutely. And maybe based on what I show you, we may want to put a few things in the gift shop. Okay, we might want to do that. Then they're available to you. You don't have to go looking all over for them. Things like that. But I love Amazon. Go ahead.
On Amazon?
I got most of this from Amazon, but some of it was already here. Like the bag was here with a hard hat, vest. Very few things were in it that I found useful. So I made it better. And like I said, I keep making it better. Every time I think of something, do something like this, I think, oh, I should probably put that in there. But I would give it to you. Any more questions? We good? If you think of anything afterwards, give me a call, shoot me an email, reach out in some form. Again, I'm going to work with Hallie to make sure that this whole thing gets pushed to everybody through Touchdown and other sources, okay? So it's available to everyone. And I'm also going to get you links to a couple of the things I got. Okay? Thank you, guys. I'm out of breath.